Hello to everyone. I am again with you. Today's lecture is translation of interjections and onomatopoeia. Let's begin our lecture. As we know, interjections are sound, word or phrase that expresses a strong emotion, such as pain or surprise, but has no meaning. On the screen, you can see Russian and English versions of interjections when we express our emotions, like hurrah, hurrah, oh, oh, shh, tss, and so on. So here we can see the comparison of interjections within English and Russian languages. We can see the following interjections. Oops can be translated like cool, здорово, круто. On the screen, you can see the other types of interjections that you can see in English and the other languages, English, Russian, and other languages. They may express some kind of meanings and emotions. There are different emotions, for example, the improvement or sadness or excitement and so on. They have got different, they express different emotions. On the next screen, you can see the other words. So we can say the list of the glossary of English and Russian interjections. So here it gives what does it mean, what does each interjection mean. In the first column you can see English version, in the second column you can see the Russian version, the third one is the meaning. And the next one that we are going to talk about, onomatopoeic words. So what kind of words are called onomatopoeic? They especially can be the words that reproduce sounds, but not by human being, but not especially by human being. They don't express emotions, or they don't express the feelings. For example, animals can produce some kind of names, or natural events can produce some kind of just voice or noise. On the screen you saw what kind of voice produces the pigs in different languages, and in different languages they produce different. For example, everybody can hear the dog saying woof, woof. They hear the same words, the same sounds, but different nations pronounced differently. For example, in English they say woof, in Italian bow, in France oh, in Russian gaf, but in Uzbek wow wow. Or when we speak about how to sound like a cow, we can see different kind of pronunciations, such as moo, boo, moo. In Uzbek we say moo, and so on. As observed above, onomatopoeic form change across languages because of phonetic differences. The different languages represents natural sounds differently. Onomatopoeic words can be machine noises, animal names and sounds, impact sounds, sounds of voice, nature sounds, and so on. You can see samples on the screen. For example, you can see samples in English and Russian in Yakut language. In this case, you can see how produces a sound a cat. Or you can see examples how the bell rings, ding dong, lin lin, differently. Different words are used, but the sound is the same. On the screen you can see boom, the word boom. How can you translate into English, into Uzbek, or into Russian? Or this just the onomatopoeic one, just sound ba. In Uzbek we say be. In Russian we say ba. What about the quack? Quack. Let's take choynak qars etib sindi. What about Russian? Think about the translation in Russian language. The wind whistled. Shamol esti. Shamol xushtak chaldi. Shamol yeldi. It can be translated according to the context. When we speak about other voices, for example, the cock-a-doodle-doo crowed the rooster. Cock-a-doodle-doo is the sound produced by the cocks. Clanging, howl, the rabbit, just sizzled, swish. All of them are onomatopoeic sounds. Just when we speak about their translation, you have to think very carefully how to translate them. Then we'll come with this problem later. Bang went the gun. On the screen you can see the samples how the animals or just birds produce the sounds or insects. Chuck chuck, buzz buzz, bow wow, and so on. On the screen you can see the voice that are produced by animals and the cars and birds and insects. For example, the cow says moo in English, but dog roof, and the dog quacks. While sleeping you say zzz. But how to translate them into Russian and Uzbek? Think carefully about their translation. So you can use what kind of sound can you produce while chewing a gum and making a ball of it. When the car crash in your language, how can you translate? In English it is crash. When we speak about the grenade explosion, it sounds a voice like kaboom. What about in your language? In Russian or Uzbek? On the screen you can see the sounds of different kind of animals. Pig, hru hru, oink, dog, gav gav, bow bow, and so on. One sound can be heard by different kind of nations, like a cat, how cat just mews, but differently they produce it in their language because their speaking organs, body parts were developed differently through history. On the screen you can see different kind of translation of frogs sound or just sheep sound. Some nations said beck but be or me, bebe, me, bah sometimes. Then you can see on the screen how the cocks produces a sound. Kikiriki, cock-a-doodle-doo, gagalago, chikiriki. In Uzbek it is kokorokoko. How the birds pronounce the sound, like a jig-jig, cheep, chun-chun, tweet, pio-pio. In English it's tweet. In Uzbek, chagr-chagr. What about the mice in Russian language? In Uzbek it is chi-chi-chi. While English they say squeak, squeak. What about in Russian language? Think about the translation. What does a bee sound like? In English it's bzzz. In German it is some. Korean boing. But Uzbek this is like English language bzzz. What about owls? Tweet too. In English. What about Uzbek and Russian? Or eating something with a sound. In Uzbek it's chap chap. In English it's chomp chomp. In German it's mamp. And others. We have just already talked about the sound of the cocks. Cock-a-doodle-doo in English. In Korean language it's kokyo. In translation, different strategies can be used while translating interjections and onomatopoeic words. Let's look at each theory turn by turn. How to translate interjections? Have an episode? Let's look at the next screen. You can find an answer for this question. For example, the first one, you have to try to find an equivalent in the target language. On the screen you can see hey, hey. You have to try equivalent, the same sound that express emotion in the target language. The next one, this similar form but the same meaning. You can find the same interjection with the same meaning but different form. The next one is non-interjective structure. If you cannot find interjection, you can use another word. Because no interjection and you have to choose another word for it. Omission, sometimes you may omit. On the screen you can see well, but in the second sentence the translator omitted the interjection fully. He didn't give the translation. Sometimes you may add shit, kesefat. In the second sentence the translator added the word kesefat to give the meaning that he had added the other word to give the strength to the sentence. And what about onomatopoeic words? How to translate them? Of course, first of all, we have to look through equivalent. If it's pas, you have to choose as a kis in Russian. First of all, you have to identify does it exist in your language. If you cannot find, you can verbalize. View, висел, дегори, дигори присвистнул. So, onomatopoeic word or just interjection can be verbalized. Sometimes we can use not onomatopoeic words. So simply pew. If in English language, just in the Russian language, it was not given with the onomatopoeic word. No, as the translator used. Sometimes they have to use explanatory translation when they say, не то вздох, не то рев. The translator explained the meaning of the emotion. The next one, omission. Tiro-to-to-to, that was the music, just the producing of song. But in the target language, they omitted. They didn't give the translation of this sound. Sometimes they add, like how. In Russian they gave. Где? Гав, где? Гав, that means the hero, that was a dog. He added to emphasize who is speaking. On the screen you can see Vyacheslav Vyacheslavic. He was a candidate of philological science, and we took some information from his scientific paper. As he says, during translation we can give with onomatopoeic words or just interjections. In the second level we can just verbalize or use another noun. And here he gives the other tips for the translators. First of all, we have to identify the meaning of interjection in an onomatopoeic word. Then we have to choose the equivalent. If we cannot find, we can omit, add, or we can use explanatory translation, but we shouldn't confuse interjections with onomatopoeic words. They are different. Onomatopoeic words, sounds, but interjections are emotions of human beings. Thank you very much for being with me.